Guest pong. Yeah, just coming in early, making sure everything's recording, waiting for it to pop up on screen. It says this video is live. Cool in the gang. All right, that's live. It says this video is live. Oh, cool in the. Take that off. All right, let's go to.
Cast the Craze is partnered with NSC Roadshow. NSCLiveTV.com and Inc. Marketing are proud to present the NSC Roadshow podcast tour. As a creator, come to be treated like a rock star as we take you on a tour with podcasters from around the world. Got a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or a project you would like to tell thousands about? Come and get on the tour. Are you a podcaster that would like more creators on your show? Come become a tour stop on the tour.
Welcome to Cast the Craze Podcast. I'm your host with the most crazy bad Vera, and I am with me. So, George is prepping our Kickstarter for its launch tomorrow, so he couldn't be with me today. But I have a very special guest on the show. We have the creators of a tabletop RPG game called LoKDown. And his name, the name of our guest coming on the show is Nicholas, and he is one of the writers on, I think his last name is Eliopoulos. He is one of the writers on the show, on the actual game. So I'm looking forward to that. In fact, I'm going to put the link below. So this way you can check out their Kickstarter. And their Kickstarter is currently running, and they have 13 days to go. They are about $1,700 away from goal. They have 72 backers. So check out their Kickstarter. The game looks legit. They sent me their world building guide or the whole, and it's just impressive, very impressive. So I'll be interviewing Nicholas tonight at 7:15. I'm hoping that you join us and you have questions. And if you're in the audience, please wave, say hello, holla at your boy here. What's going on? So there's a lot going on, and I just want to make sure I get everything. So before that, there's also another Kickstarter. We had a guest on the show, and he created a comic book called Amerikaiju. And this is it. He's also on Kickstarter. And so I'm actually going to put the link also below. So if you get a chance, check out his Kickstarter. He's a little over the 56% to his goal with about 7 days left. This is a really kick-ass Kickstarter. So check it out and show this brother some love. Edgar Paston, he worked in the toy industry, done a lot of things. Hey, Edgar, I was just talking about you. So show this brother some love. I'm going to put the link below. Check out his Kickstarter because it is dope. I backed it, and so should you. So there it is. There's the link. If you're interested, please click on that link. So what else is going on? Let's see. So tomorrow is the launch day for Cast the Crazies. Anytime, brother, anytime. Yes, there's the other link. Yeah, I didn't have that one. But yes, so Edgar is partnered with Inked. And if you've seen the intro earlier today, at the start of the show, you've seen that, hey, what's up, Sal? I'll be talking about the show in a second, too. You'll see that in the promo in the beginning of the show, the NSC Roadshow is a subsidiary of Inked, and Inked helps Kickstarter campaigns, independents go after and fund their Kickstarter. They work on their marketing, their press release, and they really give them exposure and help them create and work on the the details of the campaign, so that way they have a better chance at success. So let's see. Oh, what's coming up? So tomorrow is the launch for Catch the Crazies on Kickstarter. We launch Catch the Crazies tomorrow. Boom. So check out Catch the Crazies. Go to our landing page. That is the link. I'm going to put the landing page right now and sign up to our landing page. Here's the link. for Catch the Crazies. We have a special first day bundle for first day backers. It's only available the first 24 hours of the campaign, and we're going to launch. We're going to hit that button about 7:45. We go live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. At 7:45 during the live show, we're going to hit the button, and we're hoping that everybody who's in the waiting, who's on the landing page, who have been waiting, subscribes and take advantage of that first day bundle. It's an amazing bundle. There's you get all 3 books and a sticker and some crazy stuff, all for a small price. It's amazing, and it's only available that first day. So if you want to take advantage, and if you never backed us in the first 2 campaigns, here's your chance to get caught up and get all 3 issues of Catch the Crazies. What else is happening? So, at the end of the month, your boy will be at PowCon. That's right. There's that image. I'm going to move it out my face. That's rude. He just got right in my face. So we're going to be at PowCon, George and myself. Here's another link, and it's at One Pal Drive. It's May 29th and 30th. And your boys will be hosting a podcasting panel. So it's going to be amazing. So we have a lot in store for the podcasting panel at PowCon. We're excited. It's the first time George and I will be doing a show in over a decade together, since the days of Crazy Comics. So it's going to be fun. So what do we have planned for the panel? There's going to be live raffles. We're going to have raffles there, so you get to win some cool swag. We're going to have an art contest starting today, and I'll start posting it on social media. So show us your best version of Catch the Crazies for a chance to be featured in the book on issue 4 and get on Catch the Craze podcast and win some cool prizes. So you get bragging rights, you get featured on Catch the Craze podcast, and that art will get into the book with a small little bio about who you are. So it doesn't matter what medium you use. And if you're not coming to PowCon, you can also send it to us. The deadline is the 28th. The deadline is to get it to us by the 28th. If you're going to be at PowCon, you can bring it to us there, but we want to vote and make that decision ahead of time. So we're going to have first place, second place, and third place winners. So if you're an artist out there and you're trying to get your name out there and want to get some bragging rights and get on Catch the Craze podcast and get featured in the book and win some cool swag live at PowCon. And Sal, if we have Wi-Fi, I will be streaming that podcasting panel live. So if we have Wi-Fi, we'll be streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, Facebook Live at PowCon. And we will be hosting that panel, I believe, 1 p.m. Saturday, which is going to be dope. So for anybody who's coming to see us at PowCon, we won't be at the tables from 12:30 to 2. Because we'll be setting up and getting ready for that. So that's going to be dope. So what else is going on in the House of Craze? I'm excited about Catch the Crazies. It's pretty awesome. It pops off. Everything pops off in this issue. And I see that Nick is in the waiting room. So he's early, which is awesome. So we're going to bring Nick in about 2 minutes. But issue number 3 of Catch the Crazies, it pops off, it jumps off, it's exciting. The Crazies come to Earth for the first time, right? Remember, Sam in issue 2 said, "Help us be the best podcast in the universe." Well, the universe is answering, and the universe got jokes because it gets crazy. So, before we bring Nick in, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Do you have a Kickstarter campaign and you're trying to figure out how to get the word out? You look online and you see the competition is fierce. Comic-Cons are slowly coming back, but in the meantime, how do you spread the word? You worked for hours creating your campaign. You post on as many social media sites as possible, trying to get the word out to no avail. Well, look no further. Why not sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze podcast, the fastest growing indie podcast in the market today? That 30-second promo can get you an extra 2 to 3 backers or more. Who knows? Let's go. Hit the link below and get one step closer to a successful campaign.
All right, we're bringing in our guest. All right, what's up? Make sure his audio's working. We're waiting for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I got a phone call right from my partner, like right before this started. I apologize.
No problem. What's up, Nicholas? Welcome to Cast the Craze podcast. We're excited to talk to you today.
Hello.
So my partner would normally be here, but we have our Kickstarter launching tomorrow, so he's prepping the final page, the look of the
good page.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, of the campaign. So
Excited?
Yeah.
Nervous?
This is our fourth.
Right.
Yeah, but Kickstarters are always nerve-wracking and frustrating and all that stuff.
This is our third, so I understand.
Awesome. So, before we start, I want to know about you. I noticed that you are one of the writers on LoKDown. So let's talk about your journey into the world of role-playing games.
Role-playing games. Well, one of the other writers / my partner, Chance, kind of pestered me over. I mean, I was friends with his wife. I was friends with his wife's brother. So he just got to go like, hey, Nick, you got to come over. You got to come over and play a little D&D with me. And I played hard to get, because that's the way I roll. And after several years, I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to show up. It's one of these things. And I had a really good time. And fast forward a few years, version 4 came out, version 5. And we just kind of started tossing around ideas for how to, we had a complete, multi-page list of house rules. And just started wanting to put together a system that filled in some of the gaps that we thought were there in systems, and we decided to just build our own. But I've said it to other people. There wasn't really no single moment. There was no Genesis moment. There was just a series of events that just kind of led into it a bit. I mean, there's an event where we signed the paperwork, becoming a corporation, mind you, but.
Right.
But it wasn't on Tuesday, December 17th, 1997, where we were like, this is it.
Right.
This is what we're doing.
Right. All right. So let's go back a little bit before that. So what were you into? Where'd you grow up?
Salinas, California. So a bit of a farm community out here. Some would say a little oaky. It's about 250,000 people living in the Salinas Valley. I was one of them. My partners, both of them, Chance and Mike, were also around here. They were friends for, I want to say, middle school. I don't quite know exactly when. That was way before they were, doing anything with me.
Right.
And quite frankly, I think they did it in they started playing D&D, pretty sure 3.5, or I don't know the timeline right here of 3.5. For all I know, it's 3. Or a version just, before they even got the update.
Right.
Just around school.
Right.
Lunchtime, that sort of thing.
So.
And at home after school.
Okay. So when did you start playing games?
I think the first it was mostly video games that kind of got me into it, because I did play the Baldur's Gate games and I had a blast with those. And I like the I was going to say the choose your own adventure aspect of it, but also like those books too, in elementary school. So that's kind of how I got into the games, between the video games kind of just naturally drawing me in, the role-playing games drawing me in, even the Japanese role-playing games, Final Fantasy, and etc. And between that and Chance just pestering me over a course of, I want to say, several years, that's pretty much how I jumped into it, just with his friends and a couple of his family members, a cousin and a brother, or cousins and a brother, sitting around a table having a really good time.
Nice. So now, did you always anticipate going into developing your own game, or was it a by chance you just walked into it?
I intended to be a reporter, but that crashed and burned right after I got out of college. I had my brand spanking new, writing, degree right here with an emphasis in journalism and communication. I was going to go hammer it, and then the day I graduated, they fired. I think it was like 10,000 reporters in the state of California, and I was like, I have made a small error here. But there I was with experience and training as a writer. I had a hobby that was playing pretty regularly at that point. That involved that was heavily involved with writing. So I guess I was bound to run into it one of these days.
Right.
Just kind of through one thing or another would lead me there eventually.
So in the meantime, you graduated, you have your degree. They eliminate all these jobs. What did you do in between?
I jumped into teaching before this. I started with a substitute teacher, which is pretty much I think a lot of people do. So you get a lot of the school of hard knocks with that. And then I jumped into adjunct instructing, which is a glorified substitute teacher over at some JCs. But that was after I moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and was teaching over there at a couple of the local universities in Fort Wayne, like 3 or 4 of them.
Right. So,
really one, but
yeah. It's been my experience that substitute teachers never really got a fair shake. So, how was that experience for you?
I think some of it was very rewarding. I would say most of it wasn't, though. Let's be honest, especially with the time constraints modern teaching has on the teacher. Like, we have to do X, Y, and Z, and we got to cram this amount of information onto the students because of this various programs are right there. So substitute teaching used to be kind of a more of a mellow day. I don't know, you probably remember maybe watching movies or something like that, something on topic, mind you, but that would be what the substitute teacher did. And this is like, no, man, here's a lesson plan for the day. You have 2 minutes to learn the lesson and prep it, and you go to town there, dude.
Nice.
And that wasn't really the problem, in my opinion. What I hated was not knowing what I was doing at a daily basis. You call around 5:45 in the morning, they give you your assignment for the day. And I did not like, am I going to be across town? Am I going to be 5 minutes away? Am I teaching math? Am I teaching English? Is it science this day? That bothered me. It really stressed me out. And it was not, that's where the lack of fun, in addition to middle school students and often high school students are a lot.
It explains why, my experience with substitute teachers, where a lot of the times it seemed like they were trying to catch up.
Oh yeah, it's because we literally just got the lesson plan. Oftentimes they're not teaching or substituting just your class for the day that you be the random student. They have another one potentially either run across the campus to get there, and then learn that lesson plan. Here's the 2 pages of notes. Read it. And if you don't start on time, you're going to lose the class immediately. Like the amount of because you don't have the rapport with the students that the teacher does. They doesn't have we will do it X, Y, Z. So they're going to try to get away with murder the moment they can. So if you're sitting there like, wait 5 minutes, and then I'll try to restart class, you're already off on a wrong foot, and you're going to have to really press discipline, probably a lot more than teaching than you want to. And it's going to make it not as entertaining or as educational to the students, and you as an instructor or substitute teacher are going to be stressed out. So this is just kind of the various problems. I'm pretty sure any substitute teacher is like, that's what I do, what do you do? But it didn't really work for me.
Right. So now, at any point, did you create a blog? How did you exercise your muscles with regards to writing?
Well, I wrote a couple of, way back when as a kid, I wrote comic books. I did try writing a couple novels, and my problem is I write overtly organically, as in I will write whatever I want to write at that particular moment. Any actual real writer will tell you can't do, that's not how it works, man.
Right.
Like, you have to have this planned out at least a little bit if you want to get anything done. So like, you need to be banging away on X amount of pages per day, even if they aren't what you want to write about. I'm like, no, I don't care about that. I want to write about this scene. Well, how does it connect to this other scene? I don't know. And I'll probably never figure that out because I'm just writing scene to scene.
Right.
So I'm not really conducive for real novel writing.
Nice.
It was nice to say nice. It was
so
I know it annoyed a few people, but my wife still tries to get me to write something more elaborate, especially after this.
Right. So how did you meet up with your partner?
Well, one of the gentlemen that I'm working with, Mike, I'm married a nice lady called Crystal, and my wife is her sister. So we were introduced by my partner's wife.
Okay, cool.
Her parents also kind of, made sure they kind of like nudge us together. They were trying to marry her off almost, I swear.
Right. So now, obviously, you guys had gaming in common,
Yes.
and so talk about that first conversation when you guys came to that conclusion. Hey, let's just develop our own game.
I think it was if I recall correctly. Now they may argue at this point, and that's fine, especially because it was different for both of them. I started talking to Chance about like I got this idea for this system here, and it kind of was kind of Star Wars-esque, real sci-fi heavy, with an element of fantasy to it, and I used some aspects of some systems that I liked. But one of the things that really fascinated me as a game designer and sort of philosophy is how would a average NPC on the streets of, I don't know, any town you want, say Silvery Moon, identify a rogue from a fighter? Like, if I just looked at the guy, would I know this guy is a fighter? And that's kind of a conceit often that players will say when they just tell each other, I'm playing this class. And I'm like, how would anybody know you are that?
Right.
What would the average Joe know a sorcerer from a wizard? There's a fireball hitting you no matter what. There's a nonsensical distinction for most people. And that was one thing I really wanted to tackle with our original game, Carbine Jungle, where there wasn't so much classes, so much as power sources that just got more and more specific. So like, how do you kick butt? Where is that coming from? Are you just really well trained and you're part of the martial power source? Are you using magic and you'll be part of primal, and so on and so forth? Although we did switch things up a decent amount for the new one, LoKDown, where we kind of decided your location where you grew up and the natural lessons you got there would play a lot more part of who you are as a player character.
Right.
That kind of was a bit of a tangent because I just wanted to talk about that principle of philosophy right here. But so that was literally, I think it was a conversation, I want to say at my parents' house at the time, but I was just chilling with Chance over there. We talked about that. Mike and we had a long-standing game that his wife was DMing. It was just a 3-player game that lasted for several years, like 3, 4, 5 years. I know people have had longer, but we got up to about level 27 on version 4. And I wanted to take a lot of the themes and ideas we had created in that, because that was a multi-generational game that lasted centuries. I think it was about 1,000 years when we were done. Multiple characters, that sort of thing. And I wanted to take some of the themes that we had discussed as role playing and then roll that into a game system also. And some of the core mechanics of the game, everything from, we have a damage reduction system, a morale system came from that. And then other things were added on later as we kind of explored other systems and other ideas later. For example, we added a maiming system that adds a little teeth to critical strikes, because that was actually a pet peeve of mine. Is critical hits don't really mean something, but if I'm stabbing a guy through a gut, it should mean something,
Right.
and vice versa.
Right. So from its inception to completion, when did you start? How long did it take? Because when I'm looking at this book, what you sent me, it is immense. So how long did it take for you guys to put it together?
Well, we have a Carbine Jungle back here, and that was about 8 years, I think, to really kind of get assembled. Because once again, Chaz is working full time with. He's a teacher in middle school. I was doing adjunct instructing. Mike's a stay-at-home full-time dad with 5 kids. So we have only X amount of time in the day to devote to this. So that one took a while. I would say LoKDown was about a year, although a lot of the prep work for it had already been laid out for other projects. In Carbine Jungle, the original thing, or our first Kickstarter, and a lot of some of the ideas where we weren't quite able to fit into LoKDown, and then we incorporated those, into Carbine Jungle, and we incorporated some of those into LoKDown. A lot of it also LoKDown also came about by, there was a contest on Twitter that we kind of jumped in, and then Chance really went to to bat on that. He really wanted to push that and wrote up a lot of the mythology, or at least the beginning of the mythology for it. Although we kept, 90% of the same game mechanics. We changed our spells system just a little bit from Carbine Jungle into this to make it a little bit more, I would say, DBZ friendly. The whole concept of charging up, for lack of it, or just a spirit bomb where you got to hold it in and then release it, even though you are potentially like blocking kicks at that moment or something like that.
Right.
So like LoKDown is not an anime game, but is an anime inspired game system. So so things like that, the spell system was incorporated in. We also grew up with Dragon Ball Z, so it's not like the three of us are or anime aficionados or experts, but we have a soft spot for the genre and the subgenre. So we wanted to make sure there was that type of character in our system, or you can build those type of characters in our system. Right. Whether it is, Krillin or, gosh, put me on the spot here. I'm freaking out. Ichigo or something.
Yeah, because I'm looking at your chapters. Like you have the Luminous Dawn. Tell me about that chapter. And
that would be the lower drop right there, but kind of our setting. So we, as a story element, have chosen kind of the whole idea of a fallen galaxy where there was civilization and it's collapsed into pinpricks and it's expanding back out again.
Right.
One of those pinpricks was the planet LoKDown, which is this very inhospitable planet. Well, inhospitable for squishy people like you and I, humans. It's tidally locked against the star, so it's half on fire and half frozen with only a narrow inhabitable zone in the center. And Luminous Dawn was just the name of the ship that originally crash landed with a bunch of people fleeing, quite frankly, the apocalypse, the destruction of that galaxy-spanning civilization, the cause of which they don't remember. That has been lost to time. And I'm not saying that's going to come back and bite them, but who knows?
Right. So before we continue with the premise, but you're the artist. How did you find your artists?
Twitter's been a pretty good help. But quite frankly, we went to a lot of like Pixel Bay and stuff like that, and developed some sort of relationships. That's sometimes been we've got a lot of good stuff there. Sometimes that has bit us in the butt. We pay for something, didn't quite get what we want. Although I will point out, a lot of the online artists on all these various things are usually pretty good. If they don't get you what you want, they're pretty good about refunding you, and then they give you a big apology. And it's for the most part, no real hard feelings, just a little bit of time loss and some frustration, I imagine, in both parts there. So that's pretty much how we secured it. So there is a lot of art you may see elsewhere. We try to find some unified themes in art, but one of our design philosophies, we don't really want a unified theme because it's not really, despite the fact we have a nice setting, we hope people play it and enjoy it or use it as inspiration. It's not our game. We're fully aware 90%, 99% of the people who are going to play this are probably just going to launch into their own universe, their own world. So we don't really want to kind of focus the themes and ideas and the color palettes even of their games with our art. So some of it is financials we can only afford at the moment. That's why we're doing Kickstarters. Certain artists. Another one is a deliberate choice. Like we want a wide variety of art and art styles in it.
Right. I mean, the artwork is tight, and you have a range of different. You can see the different styles in the looks, and they just stand out, and it pops. So, talk about the species that the inhabitants. What makes them different, and how are they able to survive in this uninhabitable world to humans?
Sure. For the most part, there's 4 species. We have plans, I think, to add a 5th if the Kickstarter goes well, and that there is potentially a 6th. But a lot of that has to do with we need to afford an editor, we need to afford an artist. So that's literally the more we get into the Kickstarter, the more we can actually build into the game. But we chose the 4 humanoid species, and they all shows different pathways to adapt to this hostile environment. One chose basically to bind themselves to some of the technology the natives or I should say the DNA a native species have on the planet that were successful, and so they kind of made themselves look like that. So we get kind of this Oni-esque looking species, so larger than average person, slightly monstrous, extreme colors, reds, orange, blacks. So they basically splice their DNA to be able to survive some of the harsher weather, some of the harsher life forms. Others, the aforementioned species that lives on there had a material they introduced to the Luminous Dawn people, and it's just a metal that has properties they never really experienced before, and they were able to basically bind that to their flesh. So the metal seems to be operating under a lot of the same rules as organic material. So using their genesis, they were able to basically combine them and the metal. So you have kind of real cyborg-esque looking people where somebody has like a metal arm, but it's usually just skin deep. Doesn't really have it's not complete organs. Even they're the one, the skinless, who literally have no skin. They're all metal. It's still internal organs underneath them, but it will give them a real polished chrome, metal-esque look to them. The third would be, sorry, I should probably be naming these. We have it. You can look all this up here. I'm sorry. So we have the Xenoton, which is what I was just talking about right there. These are the ones that bind their organic flesh to this strange material that they're not really they've never seen before.
Oh, so that explains why you see all those colors on her sleeve.
Well, they also like to just as a cultural thing, just dress. I should say dress. That implies outfit. I mean, like paint up and decorate.
Okay.
That metal. So she's looking all sleeved out because they use that as a way of self-expression.
Okay.
And then you can see the gentleman below her if you pan down to page 14. Basically, that's
skinless. That
would be an example of the skinless. The Godai, these are like the oldest version of I don't say human forming to the planet. Right. That's the way I can really describe it. They wanted to take basically natural elements, kind of a real almost a spiritual aspect to the planet, as if it's some living creature and there's parts of it, and bind that to themselves. So like they basically can feel the role or think they do. They kind of develop a semi-religion out of it. So that they feel like literally the spirit of the role, the spirit of the animals. Right. And they're broken into the Ka and the Tetsi. Okay. Which I'm definitely mispronouncing. I apologize right there. It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
Not a problem. I mean, so that's what fascinates me when I was going through this. Was the names. How did you guys come up with the names?
Sometimes we played around with just languages, particularly Mesopotamian, Japanese, Mongolian, some Chinese, some of the many different types of Chinese, and other times we found sound group, basically what sounded cool, but maybe was influenced by a particular word. So we get this word, which gives us this sound, and this sound would sound a little better if it was just more like here. And then we kind of went with that. So we usually started with a language, typically Middle Eastern or Eastern in general. Most because those are the ones I think have not been done to death by other systems and other mythologies. Although once again, there's plenty of ancient Greek and Roman and Norwegian, Scandinavian, the Viking-esque, the Astrayu influences, but that's more in Carbine Jungle than LoKDown. But you'll see that also in LoKDown. So like I said, so to summarize again, usually languages, preferably Eastern and Middle Eastern. And then we take those words that we like the sound of, and they kind of just tweak them just a little bit in order to get a something that sounded just good to our ear,
Right.
and then figured out how to spell it oftentimes.
Okay. How did you guys break up? Because I see you both have writing credits. How did you break up the tasks when you were developing this world?
Well, a lot of the original writing, like the lore stuff. The very first Genesis, I just plain wrote a book from a point of view of like a galaxy explorer, who this was like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and then poor Chance had to then turn that into an actual player's handbook. So he kind of did a lot of the core mechanics, laying out like, okay, here's where. I had like, here's the classes breakdown, but I more like, here's the people, and they were like this and this and this and this. Oh, and for the record, this guy was an idiot and wrong. The guy who wrote this galaxy was wrong in just about everything, and it was supposed to be definitely tongue in cheek.
Right.
But poor Chance then rewrote all the rule set right there. So we didn't do it that way, which was a lot of extra work. So, but we had a lot of the skeleton design from Carbine Jungle left over, and we just kind of literally copied and pasted the sections we had built for Carbine Jungle. And I typically do a lot of the lore drops, and so does Mike. But I will handle some of the hardcore mechanical issues. Well, Chance will do a lot of the softer mechanical issues, although on LoKDown he's done a lot of the hard, more nuts and bolts aspects of LoKDown than he did, more so than he did in Carbine Jungle. But for right now, we really have a kind of a system through trial and error. We're like, well, we have X amount of work. Well, what gets done? It's like, well, I tend to do this more, and he tends to do this more, and he tends to do this more. And then like we begrudgingly have to do the stuff that we have left over. So we've kind of put whoever's in charge of whatever those tasks tend to be.
Right.
So like right now, a lot of lore stuff is on my plate, which is my preference. But a lot of the one of our products is we have like a card deck right here, mission decks, and Mike, my other partner, not Chance, has taken it upon himself to almost write all of them. So he has a little flair for the dramatic. So he writes with a real kind of like a Gothic-esque pose, kind of like Grim Bright-esque. So it looks kind of pretty on the inside, but it's pretty dark and miserable on the on the outside. But if you look down farther, there's some serious edge to it, or kind of vice versa, depending on how you want to do it. Right. And then I also end up doing a lot of some of the more boring editing that comes from my writing experience. Well, I'll have to write 20, 30 page papers just because that's the nature of the game, and then edit myself. So I am currently right now reading and rewriting and re-editing of our original Carbine Jungle book. It's a bit of a workload.
Yeah, well, based on what I'm seeing from this packet that you guys sent me, I can imagine how much time it took. Going back into the characters, I'm looking at Shastra. Is that her name? Really cool character design. She looks like a mix between a fox.
Basically right now, just foxes and dragons, and I think we had a couple ideas for more. If the Kickstarter does well, we'll add more.
Right.
And so they're basically they invented an artificial intelligence to kind of teach them, the survivors of the Luminous Dawn, when they got there, built an AI that allowed them to, or that taught them like what was the best strategies for surviving, and it suggested basically blending some of these successful life forms on the planet with their own bodies, and that's where the Shastra came in. So there's this dragon-esque, worm creature, and that's where the Raijin comes from, the dragon, and that's where we get the Kitsune, also the fox-like small canine.
Nice. So where do you guys, what's your intention for this world?
In regards to exactly what you
Expansion, distribution. How do you?
Gosh, I hope we get a good expansion out of this. We would like to add 3-4 more species into the mix. We want to add another 2 classes, archetypes to the mix. Maybe like another couple of domains, which is a kind of a thing we have where it's the where you come from, and that gives you a list of things and abilities.
Right.
So we want to add a couple, potentially more of those, and that'll give more starting and origin points. So make it easier for any DM to launch any type of game they want. Besides that, there is a unified storyline between our other work, Carbine Jungle, and this. It's all set in the same universe, and we want to add more to that universe. And we've broken the Kickstarter into basically a hero's codex and like a DM guide, a GM guide. So the GM guide has a lot of the secrets of the world. So if you are interested in running the game right here in our setting, here's all the dirty secrets for it. And for those who are our consumers and fans, which we appreciate, that bought this and that other book, there'll be some amusing surprises, storyline wise, that I hope catches a couple of people off guard. And I have to tell any GM, if you do choose to, this will be a couple good places to just blow your party away with a little bit of trickery on our part.
Right.
Let's talk about your Kickstarter. What are some of the tiers and the incentives
for potential backers?
Sure. Let me pull it right up right here. Oh, it's pulled up. So we have the I think it was like 5 major things. Let me just double check. There was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I don't know where I got 5 from. So we'll start from the littlest amount and then work our way up. So we have our what we call the digital gunslinger. So that gives you that's for $25 pledge to the Kickstarter. It gives you the player's guide and the GM's guide as digital copies, and that's of course beginning of our stretch goals. We will also give you a special recognition in we have a little thank you page, so you will definitely be there. Also, or should I say, next we have the $45 pledge, which gives you a color hardback edition. So that's the color hardback healer pledge level, and that'll give you a digital guide of the player's book, a digital guide of the GM guide, but also a color hardback and a digital copies of any stretch goals we make, and again an entry on our thank you in the first page. Then that brings us to the Samurai paperback, which is a pledge of $45 or more, and again we'll have the digital guides for both the DM and the player's guide, and then a black and white copy of the player's guide, a digital copy of all stretch goals, and a black and white copy of the GM guide. And he had a special entry in the recognition page. The shapeshifter, so that's become an NPC. So we basically put you into the game. So you gain a entry in our rogues gallery, which is for NPCs that we just have pre-made with goals and stats and equipment. So a DM doesn't have to work really hard when they need to populate this world. Here this person is. It'll also give you a digital copy of the player's guide and the DM guide, and in addition, digital copies of all stretch goals we make. And we'll actually give you a little bit of extra recognition in the thank you page. And that brings us to the pledge of $75 more, also known as the Summoner of Books. So that gives you the digital copy, this is a lot of the digital copy, the player's guide. But it will also give you a player's guide hardback and a DM guide, both color for the GM, both color hardbacks. Let me just start with that all over again. Right. For the player's guide and the DM's guide, and again, the digital copies of all stretch goals. So a 120 more. That's the Voodoo Warrior and NPC entry pack. So entry into the Rose Gallery. So again, we'll put you, or I should really say when I say put you in the game, you will be able to put a character of your choice. It could be you. Do whatever you wish. We will put you in the Rose Gallery as a NPC in the game, and probably give you a place to inhabit and have been populated by others. And that'll give you a hardback of the DM and the player's guide, and digital copies of both as well, in addition to all the stretch goals. And a big thank you in the recognition section. So the Shinobi one shot. Now we're getting into the more expensive stuff. So the pledge of $200 or more. So that gives you the digital copies again and the hardbacks again. But we turn your ID into a one shot. So we basically add your little campaign into the game, whether you want to use Carbon Jungle, our original thing, or LoKDown, or even a 5e using the open game license. We'll give you maps, some limited artwork, and get your game out into the world.
Outstanding. Who designed the? So I know you commissioned artists to do the character designs, but the page layouts and the frames for the characters and the look. Who designed that?
Oh, the general feel of the place. Chance did a lot of that, with constant grilling from me about this is not going to work, this is going to work, this is not going to work. But I would say he did the majority of that. But that would be some of those mechanical things I was saying he was doing. That would definitely be one. Although a lot of it had to do because we had some font issues where we both had all the same fonts, but we got the fonts from different web pages or websites that sold fonts, and they didn't quite match up. And we're trying to figure out what was going on. Except for like, do you have this font? And I'm like, yes, I do. I'll reload it. And we finally went to the same place, the same time, and got the same font. So hopefully, I will be able to help him more with that in the future that I was not able to do in previous works.
Outstanding. So you have 13 days to go.
Yep.
So,
well, a little bit, yeah.
Yes. And so how are you getting the word out to the public, and what has the feedback been about the product?
Well, the feedback's been pretty good. Usually, we've been doing a lot of interviews such as this. Podcast, we've DM'd a couple of games in our system. That's been a lot of fun. I just did a Diecast podcast last night. I don't quite know. I think they said next Monday they'll have it available on Twitter, and I imagine Twitch. I think it was. Sorry, guys. I'm supposed to do a little better at advertising them here. And Chance is doing stuff. Mike has done some open round Twitch stream where although they lost the video footage if I recall correctly. So they're just going to publish a paper. Well, that always happens. I did an interview where they lost all the sound. So
nice.
We're all kind of amateurs working at this and trying to do the best we can here.
Right.
And we're trying to help these little guys out, and we're trying to get them to help us out. We're trying to be really good partners, and for the most part, a lot of these little podcasters have been helping out pretty well. Whenever we do one, we usually get a spike in our Kickstarter. So I'm kind of hoping, please.
Yes, there you go. What you're streaming live right now, so you're on Twitch, you're on Periscope, and Facebook, and YouTube right now. So
thank you very much. Yeah,
you got it. So you don't have to worry about me losing any footage. So is there anything that we missed during this that you would like the audience to take away from this conversation?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure. I think we hit up everything here. We're excited about the setting. We're excited about the system. We really do like his system. It's a D20 based system. There is some action economy rules. There's a damage direction. There is some crunchiness to it, but one of the best things I think about the system is it's very modular in nature. You can take things out and put it away if you don't want it, or add it back in when you may become a little bit more comfortable, or want to maybe just explore that style of game, that theme of game. Say if you want all your characters to be fearless, so you remove the morale system, but then you're going to go to, I don't know, a haunted castle where you want to add this fear and frustration element, then you can put it back in. But the game is designed from the ground up to function with pieces like that removed from it, for simplicity's sake, for flavor's sake, for the DM. I just don't want to mess with that today.
Right.
Like we're just not going to deal with damage reduction today. Maybe next session, but I don't know. I didn't get much sleep last night. Maybe I got too much sleep last night. Whatever.
Right.
That's one thing I think we do well in NorCal Mythos is the modularization of the system, and I think it is a good system in general.
Well, I mean, it looks amazing. It's very impressive. You guys, I mean, you can see the labor of love. When I looked through it, I was just impressed by the scope of it. How can people reach you guys if they want to connect with you? What are your social handles?
We're at on Twitter at an incredibly creatively named because we're NorCal Mythos, so we're on Twitter at NorCal Mythos. Please visit our website at NorCal Mythos. We have an email at norcalmythos@gmail.com, and those are the three best ways. You'll see us on Twitter. We're there every day. They shout out hi to us. Well, for the most part, shout back. I mean, depending on how nice you are. I mean, you're like, hey, scumbag, rah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
We may not get back to you on that one.
No trolls allowed.
we had a couple of people because we had an advertising thing where we said like, hey man, if you're tired of D&D, maybe give us a shout out. And we've had some vehement D&D come in, defenders that come in and like, how dare you? How dare you, besmirch D&D E5? And we're like, okay, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cult. Yes.
Yeah. Not that I have any problem with it, but geez.
Yeah, I know. I get it. Well, thank you so much. Again, the link is below. I also put it in the chat, guys. Hit that link. Head over to LoKDown on Kickstarter. There's 13 days to go. Obviously, there's 72 backers that know that this is a really good product. These guys really put their heart and soul into it. Thank you again for being on our show. And we wish you all the best with this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You guys having us on or having me on, but yeah.
You got it, buddy. Anytime. And whenever you guys have a follow-up down the road, you can always hit us up.
Will do. Thank you again.
You got it. Have a nice day.
Have a nice one.
All right. So that's LoKDown. That was Nicholas. And again, guys, hit the link below. Let me get this out my face. This book is always, I'm going to leave this right there so you can see it. Hit that link below. These guys really put their heart and soul into this. It's definitely impressive. I've only been into PC games. I've never been into role-playing games, maybe because I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. There's a lot of technical stuff to this, but these guys really put a heart and soul into this. So give them some love. Hit that link below. It's in the summary also on our YouTube channel. And also if you're watching us on Twitch and Facebook, it's there as well. And again, don't forget, they're not the only ones that have a Kickstarter. You also have my boy who has Amerikaiju. It's really good, and he's down to a few days left. In fact, I'll tell you right now, 7 days left. He's got 45 backers. He's a little over the midway part, I think 56%. Hit that link in the summary. Support Amerikaiju. It's a really good concept. You won't be disappointed. And tomorrow's the day. The Crazies are coming out, so join us. Catch the Crazies on Kickstarter tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. George the Dreamer Medina and Sam the Crazy Man Vera will be live. We'll have live raffles. We're going to make some cool announcements. It's going to be fun. You don't want to miss it. It's just going to be entertaining. Again, if you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. If you have a question for our guest, Nicholas, and about the role-playing game LoKDown, put the comments below. I'm sure he'll answer it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Tell a friend. The more that you show love, the more that we can give these independent creators a bigger reach and a bigger market to get in touch with. I appreciate you. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera. George the Dreamer Medina's not here, but thank you so much for watching. Much love, and I'm out.
It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. I met him.
Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh, Lord.
He described me.
He said, I'm the
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.